Hi everyone, it's Raylene Bartlett from RTO Doctor, bringing you today's 30 Days, 30 Tips. And tonight I thought that I would talk to you about, are they really qualified? Now the reason why I've decided to talk about this evening is because yet again we've come up with a few clients who have found themselves in situations where they probably shouldn't have, because they base their decision making in relation to the governance of their organisation based on the qualifications and experience that the people that they had employed or engaged as contractors said that they had. Now, this applies to all businesses really, not just to registered training organisations or schools or TAFEs or anyone in the education training sector. It actually does apply to anyone in business. We can only ever go by the qualifications and experience that someone says that they have in their CV or their resume. And we can verify that, of course, by contacting the referees that the person will put on their CV. But when we really think about it, the person's only ever going to put on there someone who's going to give them a favourable referee anyway. They're never going to put down someone who's going to give them a bad reference. So if someone says that they have got certain qualifications and they've performed certain skills and they've got certain experience, you can only legitimately engage them based on that experience, particularly if their references are supporting what they say they've done. Now, of course, when you engage somebody on a permanent contract, whether it be full-time or part-time, there's usually a probationary period that applies, and that applies in both directions. Don't forget, it's for both the employer and the employee to both decide whether or not that engagement is suitable for both people. In terms of contractor roles, usually they particularly in the education training sector, in VET, people will be engaged as contractors for one study period, for example, and their suitability for an organisation will be based on that. Now, if you're looking at someone who is in administration, for example, they will still have a probationary period. It wouldn't be a sessional type arrangement such as a trainer and assessor, but they are likely to be engaged in a permanent part-time or a permanent full-time capacity, sometimes in a casual capacity. And again, you engage them based on the qualifications and experience and skills that they say they have, that have been reinforced by their references that you've checked and verified. You would also, of course, verify that their qualifications are genuine and that they're not fraudulent, something which has come up very recently in the media in New South Wales. Some people may have heard about a trainer and assessor who had fraudulently provided some training and assessment qualifications and underpinning qualifications. And I have to say that in my experience in VET over almost 20 years, it wouldn't be the first time that I've heard about this either. I've actually been in RTOs where I've experienced that there have been trainers and assessors who have fraudulently provided qualifications or statements of attainment to demonstrate their competency in currency. So we always encourage you to verify the qualifications that people are saying that they have, but also verify the experience and skills that they say that they have. What we're finding more and more at RTO Doctor is that the people who in these organisations, they will say that they have these qualifications and skills, but it's those very same people who are often letting these RTOs down when it comes to compliance. It's almost like the person will, how can I say this? They say that they can do something because they need the job, and either they genuinely can't do it or they just don't have the skills that they said that they had. Now, obviously, it's incumbent on the employer then to identify that they don't have the skills and to upskill them, provide them with any training required to get them up to standard. And that's usually done as part of a performance improvement plan. However, it is up to the provider in the end to determine whether or not that person can actually do the job and whether or not that person also wants to continue working in that manner. Ultimately, what it comes down to is a person can make or break an organisation, not just an RTO. A person can make or break a small family business. A person can make or break a large company. It doesn't necessarily need to be poor intentioned. It can just be through not knowing any different. But then again, there are some people who will intentionally go out and do these things as well. Hopefully they're few and far between. So what we would encourage you again at RTO Doctor is please just make sure that you're doing your due diligence on people when you are engaging them, whether as contractors, employees that are permanent, part-time, full-time, casual. And for those people who are applying for roles, just remember too that probationary period also applies in the other way. So just because someone's got a probationary period for you to see whether or not you fit their organisation, as an employee, you need to remember that that's an opportunity for you to see whether or not that working relationship works as well. It may be that you can identify yourself in that probationary period that you don't feel comfortable doing the role that you've been appointed to perform, that you identify yourself that you don't have the skills and knowledge, or you could identify as well for the employer that perhaps you need some upskilling in certain areas. That's about it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I can see I've got a few colleagues on there. Hi Matthew, hi Jason, hi Yvonne. Hopefully tonight's session has been helpful to some people. And if you've got any questions in relation to the employment practices in VET and whether or not you need support to do due diligence on people, if you've got any suggestions for topics for our quick tips, please don't hesitate to comment and let us know what you'd like us to discuss. Thanks very much for your time this evening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.